Hi guys, in this video I'm going to show you a couple of recovery strokes. These are strokes you'd perform if your canoe was in danger of capsizing. Typically this is in white water or moving water, you might find this happens. So we're going to look at a low brace and we're going to look at a righting pry, and they're both used to try and prevent the canoe capsizing. We'll start with a low brace. So a low brace is when you're capsizing or your boat's tipping towards your onside, the side that you are paddling on. So if my canoe is tipping this way a little bit, then I would want to perform a low brace stroke. So I'm going to try and have my knees quite secure in the boat, pressing out against the hull so that I've got like a good low center of balance. And I'm going to have kind of a narrowish grip on my paddle, so kind of like mid to narrow grip. But in reality, when you're performing this, it's going to be whatever grip you had on your paddle to begin with, because this is a recovery stroke. So as you can see, I'm leaning my body out towards the side that I'm going to be capsizing on, and I'm going to be pushing the blade of my paddle into the water. So you can see my blade is very, very horizontal. Oh, sorry, the shaft is very horizontal, and I'm holding it kind of in line with my hips here. When I'm kind of like leaning this way a little bit, I have my head over on my shoulder. I'm going to be then kind of levering down, pushing the blade into the water. Hopefully I've recovered at this point, and then I'm going to rotate my paddle so that I can bring my paddle out cleanly. So we start with the blade of the paddle is going to be going in parallel with the water, so you can see they're pretty parallel with each other. Shaft of my paddle is nice and horizontal at my hips. I'm turning towards the side, I'm doing that, I'm braced nice and low, and I'm going to push my blade into the water. Once I've got it in, the paddle's fully submerged, I'm then going to try and rotate my paddle and going to come up. And when my body comes back up, I'm going to kind of come up first, head still stays on shoulder until I'm fully back up again, and I'm going to hopefully still be in my canoe facing forwards. And the head's kind of the last bit of you to come up. It's kind of like you unwind your body when you do it. So we're leaning out, push through the water, rotate our paddle, pulling it up, unwinding our body. And that's a low brace stroke. The other stroke that you can do to try and recover from almost capsizing is a righting pry. And a righting pry is one that you will do when you're capsizing on your off side. So I'm paddling this side. If my canoe was tipping a bit this way, I'll try and make it tip a little bit, then I would be forming a righting pry on my on side. So if the canoe is capsizing on your offside, that's the way it's tipping, we're going to do a righting pry at this point to try and recover. Okay, so our righting pry, we're going to have our blade, we're going to have a nice kind of like mid to narrow grip, but again, the grip on the paddle is going to be whatever you were holding before the canoe started to capsize, and we're going to be again having it kind of in line with our hips. We're going to be putting it in the water. We want to have our thumb facing up to the sky, and we're going to be putting our blade in like this. Submerge the shaft of the blade pretty fully, and then we're going to rotate our thumb so our thumb starts to point forwards, and we're going to be then pulling, using the gunnel for leverage to pull the blade up. So again, capsizing this way, I'm going to be leaning out as far as I can. I'm going to be submerging the blade of my paddle. I'm going to be rotating it so my thumb points forwards, and then I'm going to be pulling the water up, and hopefully that brings this gunnel down a bit lower so that we're not then going to capsize into the water. In terms of tandem and solo, these strokes can be performed either in the front or the rear of the canoe. It's basically make sure you know you're doing the right stroke to stop you turning a particular way. If you're capsizing towards your onside, the low brace is the best one. If you're capsizing towards your offside, a righting pry is a good one to do. Keep in mind that these may not work and you might still capsize, so you need to think about safety when you're coming out of the canoe if that happens. So just keep that in mind. And that's the 2 recovery strokes.